The Labrador, an iconic helicopter known for its search and rescue missions with the Canadian Forces. The company which made these helicopters was Boeing. Boeing Vertol, known today as Boeing Rotorcraft Systems, was created when Boeing acquired the Piasecki Helicopter Corporation in 1960. The name Vertol is an abbreviation for vertical takeoff and landing. This subdivision of the Boeing company was most well known for the creation and development of the CH-46 Knight and the CH-47 Chinook helicopters. Boeing Company Vertol Division started to manufacture, design, and produce the Labrador in 1962 and finished production in 1971. The Labrador and Voyager helicopters were variants of the Boeing Vertol CH-46 Knight, also known as the Prague, and were built in the United States. The Royal Canadian Air Force purchased 6 Sea Knights with the intent of modifying them for the role as a search and rescue helicopter. To replace the aging fleet of the Piasecki H-21 workhorse helicopters, also known as the Flying Banana. The Canadian Army also acquired a cargo version, which was known as the Voyageur. The Voyageurs were then replaced in the military by the CH-113 Chinook heavy lift and transport helicopters. The Voyageurs were then transferred to the Air Force to join the Labradors in search and rescue. Upon this transfer, both the Labradors and Voyageurs underwent heavy modifications, which took the best of both variants. This included hydraulics upgrades, the installation of external fuel sponsons, which act as a flotation device, as well as the installation of an APU. This made both the previously named Voyageurs and Labradors the same. Therefore, a new upgraded variant was called the CH-113a Labrador.
Specifications of the CH-113a Labrador Voyageur helicopters. Rotor diameter, 50 feet. Total length, including rotors, 83 feet 4 inches. Height, 16 feet 8 inches. Weight empty, 11,251 pounds. Total weight, 21,400 pounds. Maximum speed, 168 miles per hour. Maximum range, 684 miles. Landing gear type, fixed tricycle gear. Anti-torque system type, tandem. Rotor head type, fully articulated. Power plant, 2 T58-GE-10 turboshaft engines. Number of crew, 5.
With the Labradors that were produced and the Voyageurs which joined, there's a total of 18 helicopters, 12 Voyageurs, 6 Labradors that were in service for SAR missions. The Labradors have been based in many locations around Canada throughout their lifetime. In 1963, their first year of service, the Labrador was found in the Boeing Company Vertol Division in Morton, Pennsylvania. Then in September of 1963, the Labrador went to 102 Composite Unit in Trenton, Ontario, which became the 424 Squadron in 1968. The Labrador was part of a detachment moved to Torbay, Newfoundland in 1977. This detachment became 103 Rescue Unit when it moved to Gander, Newfoundland later that year. The Labrador went back to Trenton in the early 2000s. The last Canadian Forces Labrador to serve was retired in 2004. The Canadian Forces donation of the aircraft to a museum in July 2004 was an event that marked the retirement of the Labrador fleet. Labrador 11301, the first Labrador to enter the service with the Canadian Forces, was the last to retire. As stated previously, the Labrador helicopters were used for SAR missions. SAR stands for Search and Rescue. The Labradors were excellent for search and rescue, especially for the time it was in service. The Labs could land on water, taxi through rough water, and force land on water. They could open their rear cargo ramp, which opens with a water dam in place, or open the side door, all without fear of rolling over or sinking. This was due to a watertight hull. The cargo door allowed for easy retrieval of victims in the water. They could easily launch inflatable boats and retrieve them as well. The side door, also known as the Dutch door, design allows the bottom half to remain closed while the top half is open. This preserves a watertight condition, with the bottom half being closed while in water. The hoist position is behind the right-hand seated pilot, making it easier for the pilot to position the aircraft over a rescue site. The Lab's 2 rotors have 3 blades each with a diameter of 50 feet, which allow for a softer downwash effect. This creates a less hazardous environment when entering or leaving the aircraft in flight. Their SAR missions were often in very bad weather conditions and hundreds of miles out over the ocean. They were used for many emergencies such as medical evacuations, flood relief operations, victim recovery from downed aircraft, to rescues of seamen from life rafts or sinking ships. These helicopters were essential for the Canadian Search and Rescue Team. They would save countless lives every year, and the crew would constantly put their lives at risk to get people home safely. However, not all missions have been a success. There have been a total of 6 crashes, like in the crash of the Labrador helicopter in 1998. This accident was the worst accident to occur to this aircraft. It was a result of many unfortunate series of events. The event was so rare that they say it was 1 in a million occurrence that can never be repeated. The right engine caught fire and was extinguished according to procedures. The helicopter had to dump fuel to perform an emergency landing, but as they were dumping fuel, a small flame ignited the fuel. This created a blast that caused one of the rotors to misalign, which tore the helicopter into 3 sections and caused the death of 6 crew members. But not all accidents resulted in death. In fact, several Labradors, which had to be ditched due to mechanical problems, did so without the loss of the aircraft or crew members. In one case, the crew is able to water taxi the aircraft to shore under its own power. This helicopter had 2 General Electric T58-GE-10 shaft turbine engines, which had 1,500 shaft horsepower. They were upgraded in 1997 from the original T58-GE-8S, which had 1,350 shaft horsepower. The twin engines are mounted side by side at the base of the rear rotor pylon, horizontally, with exhaust casings positioned aft. An engine and rotor transmission system permits single-engine operations in the event of one of the 2 engines failing. This is essential, especially when they are far out from civilization for a rescue operation. The rotor head of the Labrador is a fully articulated head which does not require grease but solely oil. It meets the standards for SAR missions and helps greatly in helping the mission go smoother. Engine power is transmitted from each engine through individually overrunning clutches into the aft transmission, which combines the engine outputs to an interconnecting shaft which enables both rotors to be driven by either engine. The rotor system is 2 3-blade rotors in tandem formation, rotating in opposite directions. Blades can be manually folded for storage. The Labrador incorporates electrical rotary wing de-icing. As you may have noticed, this helicopter does not have a standard tail rotor system for the anti-torque system. Instead, this helicopter uses a tandem rotor system, 2 rotors with 3 blades each. These rotors are identical to each other and spin in opposite directions. The landing gear for the Labrador is a non-retractable tricycle type with twin wheels on all 3 units and oleo shock absorbers. In 1992, it was announced that the Labradors were to be replaced by 50 new helicopters, a variant of Augusta Westland EH-101, designated CH-113a Shimo, now known as the Cormorant. The last year of service for the Labrador in the Canadian Armed Forces was in 2004. However, Columbia Helicopters of Portland, Oregon purchased 8 surplus airframes for commercial use.